Welcome to the TADSummit online conference. I am here with Stefan, and we're going to be talking about truth in identity verification. Stefan, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks a lot, Alan. Great to be here and thanks for the opportunity and the invite.
No. I was actually just doing a little bit of background research thinking, I know your offer is much broader than just Mobile Connect, but I was like, how long have we been talking at TADSummit about Mobile Connect? And I realized it's all the way back to the 2014 when we had Ericsson and Etisalat presenting on it. So right when, it was like all the promotion and all the hype was starting. And here we are in 2025.
10 years after, 10
I
years after,
know,
but
it's amazing. Time
yeah,
flies.
it's sure thing. So we've been out there for the past, I would say, almost six and a half, 7 years. So not full 10 years, but yeah, we witnessed some of the uphill and downhill battles when it comes to Mobile Connect. Yeah, and yeah, and I mean, trying to understand a lot of know-how from its good sides and bad sides, and actually trying to actually get the best takeaways for implementing with the current open gateways and camera initiative
I know, because I
that's
saw at one of
going
the
on now.
camera events, they were saying people need to move away from Mobile Connect over to the gateway. I'm like, okay. But anyway, that's the whole point. You've got a long history. This is a complex
Yeah,
area because it's,
it is.
it's not just, you know, uh, Mobile Connect. You've got, OpenID Connect. You've got all the biometrics. You've got passkeys. You've got FIDO2. You've got WebAuthn. And all the other flavors that are out there. So this makes it complex. Whether you're a small business looking at this and going, well, I'm not Google or Amazon, so can I really do those passkeys? It seems very complex, and of course they're reading all these concerns over using SMS for OTP with artificially inflated traffic and how sort of crooks can grab some of your OTPs and all the rest. So it's all that uncertainty and complexity. For most businesses, they're
Yeah.
sort of looking on and going, this is concerning. So really interested to understand, the history of IPification and what that's taught you and why you're positioning for the future in identity authentication. So over to you, Stefan.
Thanks a lot. So it's a great intro. I mean, for us, we started, with the very same thinking, like 6, 7 years ago, around the problems most existing. First of all, around the password fatigue and all
Yeah,
the problems that exist with the password-based solution, and that's
yeah,
where the SMS kind of adoption start
yeah,
getting into the full picture when basically the phone numbers became a universal user identity that everybody trusts and everybody's happy to use it because it's super convenient, right?
yeah.
But then along with the phone number, kind of user identity adoption, there's a whole lot of problems came into, right? Like with especially around both the user experience and the frauds that exist with the SMS one-time pins.
Yes,
Myself, one other co-founder, and a third co-founder as well in the cybersecurity,
excellent.
very well familiar with the A2P SMS industry and direct carrier billing as well,
Yeah,
where we've understood the very problem of user authentication,
yes,
which is the main part of any user flow, right?
correct.
So that's when we decided, there's a very good niche opportunity to build something better
Yes,
out there, right? Like,
yeah,
and we've definitely recognized mobile operators as, I would say, the only partners out there that holds the key due to its network
hmm,
to the very best authentication when it comes to phone number verification and SIM-based authentication.
yeah,
So that's when we build our own proprietary platform, deployed now in over 50 plus telecom operators globally. Yeah, now we are on a mission to actually get this solution and make mobile authentication accessible to as many enterprises as possible, but in a, I would say, smooth way when it comes to adoption and all the hurdles and complexities that you mentioned when it comes to mobile authentication in general.
No,
So yeah,
absolutely. And
that's
I
in a nutshell.
strongly agree with you need that balance with you do need the telecom understanding, but you also really need a deep cybersecurity understanding as well. This is not something that sits, oh yes, we know mobile connect back to front, we have the expertise, we're done. No, it's because the web is constantly evolving. And you see that. I mean, passkeys, I Google, Amazon, Meta started because they were suffering from basically artificial inflated traffic. So they were looking at how can we get rid of this. So and for most of them, the properties I interact with them now, it's just a simple biometric. Press and I'm in. It's easy as a user. It's secure for the time being. Again, everything is constantly evolving, but really interested, as we're setting the scene before we get to looking at the deployments, what are some of the learnings over the past 6, 7 years that have really become like core principles for how your business operates?
Yeah, I mean, like it has a lot to what we've just discussed at the
Okay.
beginning, and that's that we need just to move from a pure, kind of API story and perspective to a more kind of solutionized,
Yes.
approach to the market. So
Yeah.
what I think, I mean, the main reason I think why Mobile Connect hasn't succeeded at that time and a slow adoption back in the days is that everybody was just talking about, oh, it's an API, you just integrate it, etc. And I think most of the businesses are not in the business of integrating APIs, right?
Correct.
Like they're in the business of getting customers, preventing fraud, generating more revenues, and APIs are just a means to an end, right?
Exactly.
Usually a painful one, right? And
That's
unfortunately,
it. It's like you're not pre-integrated into an existing authentication solution. What's wrong with you? It's
yeah,
not wanting
exactly,
an API.
exactly, and they actually need a solution to their existing problems. And
Yes,
one of the biggest takeaways that we got is that the guys are not buying an API. You
correct.
need to package it rightly and combine all types of data signals and solution type of approach to actually solve the problem they have.
Yes,
And down the line, what I think is also super important, and what we've learned is they they don't need just the data. Even like they don't want to say the phone number is true or false or whatever the simple data you can pass on.
yeah,
Most of them are actually requiring what I call the actionable analytics, right? Like, so
yes,
you can provide them a very good insights that can actually serve their business function, so they can focus on what their business is all about and not about whether the API is delivered, whether, I mean, same old story,
yeah,
like the problems they have with SMS, whether it was delivered, whether it was a fake or not. It's just losing a lot of attention to what their core business is. And this is what actually we are trying to incorporate. I mean,
gotcha.
it's a long process, right?
Yes,
But I believe this is something that really set us apart from the rest of the guys, that we've learned a lot, picked it up, and translated into our kind of platform features that helps enterprises adopt the APIs in a much better way.
your solution. Yes. Uh, so
Yeah,
your
exactly.
actionable analytics. What are some examples of what you're wrapping around your solution?
Yeah, I mean, like, um, they want to, instead of, as I said, just sending analytics whether API delivered or not, billing and charge, or whatever the data is. They want to know, okay, can you show me my full funnel, right? Like so from the users entering the authentication process to the ones, finish registration, etc.
Gotcha.
They want to understand at what part of the funnel most of my users are failing at. Whether is
Gotcha.
it due to some fraudulent activities, the phone numbers are not even active on the network, or a bunch of additional insights which you can show in a really actionable point. And
Gotcha.
that's once you present it in such a way, on a step-by-step approach,
Yeah.
that's where you get a kind of a partner, not just a client that is able to make the most of the APIs together with you.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Because now, do you take advantage? Because yes, there's the network intelligence, but also that mobile phone is an IP device. So do you correlate, with some of the IP information? Because you can say, well, actually, the IP we got from this is actually from Vietnam, yet the number and where it's telling us from the network is it's still in Czechoslovakia or Hungary or whatever. So you can like highlight like inconsistencies. So you can, it's what you said with data signals. You can flag stuff as this is passed, but we're a little bit concerned. So I'm just interested in you do stuff like that to help businesses make safe decisions.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. That's one of the, I would say basic features of
Okay.
our platform is where, we are doing what we call IP to MSSDN match or mismatch,
Gotcha.
meaning that, what we are able to do. I mean, in a lot of developing markets, there are a huge number of dual SIM cards
Yes.
phones,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
right? So what it happens is that someone is putting the number of one non-cellular data telco,
Yeah.
while the IP address is from another operator. So these are some of the insights that we are able to tell to the enterprise in advance
Yeah.
in order to actually help to streamline the user experience better on one
Wow.
side and actually and a lot of potential frauds if it happens cross country in many cases.
Interesting. Yeah, because I have a dual SIM phone. So I'm always, because I use the other one for basically security and the one is my regular SIM. So,
Yeah,
but that's unusual, especially here in the North American market, to have dual SIM phones. So, yeah,
yeah.
it's as soon as you go international, it seems such a small thing, but that has a significant impact on how authentication can or cannot work. So, what are some of the
It does.
other signals you look for in keeping the pipeline as successful as possible for your clients?
Yeah, I mean, like aside from, I mean, for us, number verify
Yeah,
is a base, right? Like
gotcha.
so
Yeah,
that's what we are always emphasizing when it comes to network APIs development, right? Like so it's a foundation on which you can build all the other APIs. So I'm also trying to present to the operators, it's like a highway, right? It's this phone number verification, it's a highway, and then on the side we are building additional shops and blocks, etc., who are going to contribute to that very same use cases.
gotcha.
And those additional signals are, SIM swap, phone number recycling, whether the phone number is in roaming, whether it's currently on an active voice call or not,
Yep.
whether the phone number is connected to the network at that very moment. So all these signals actually help to strengthen the base case, which
Yeah.
is the as I said, the phone number verification. And this is one of the super important takeaways as well, where all these APIs that we are talking about now in the open gateways and camera, and a lot of operators are, in my opinion, unfortunately, misguided by some of the consultancy firms saying that will be able to make billions out of each single APIs as a standalone. We don't see this happening. I mean,
Yeah.
like to that earlier point that a solution is important. Actually, most of the APIs adoption are happening to the very standard use case scenarios, whether it's a user onboarding transaction confirmation, and these APIs, they all need to point out to the informed decision that enterprise needs to have
Exactly.
at that very moment. It's
Yeah.
not like I'm going to use number verify at one point and then I'm going to use SIM swap at the other. It's rather, please give me as much as data you can in
Exactly.
as fast way. I mean, as fast as you can,
Yeah.
and that's all I need, right? Like so,
Yes.
and let me make the as I said, informed decision whether to let this user in or not.
Exactly. And that's just for the, I guess, sign in. And then you've got all the transactions that can happen during, because, like
Correct.
sign in might, it's like, you know, we've got some information, and because that information can take time or have an age to it. So you might go, you know what, it's good enough to get them logged in. But then when the customer wants to say transfer cash out, then the requirement is everything's got to be green, all the lights, so we can confirm that. Otherwise, they've got to go in and do secondary authentication. There's like a secret passcode, there's questions, or there's other stuff that ensures it is Alan Quayle requesting this transaction. I mean, I see it like with my bank. Whenever I do a transaction, you then go into a secondary phase to confirm this is you, isn't it, Alan, before we do something. Well, if I'm just doing like an update, or I'm just doing a check of a balance or something, there's nothing. It's like, yeah, you're in, you can see what's going on. So that makes a lot of sense. So,
Yeah, it does. I mean, like especially for the to your point, what what we are kind of trying to advocate as well is to try to use it more often, right? Like
yes,
what we believe is, like, I know it's a buzzword of a continuous authentication, but
yeah,
that's where we try to get the operators on the commercial kind of business models that would allow
yeah,
for enterprises to use this silent network verification much more often, so
yes,
without worrying about the cost, etc. Because of the very point you mentioned, is that the moment you, especially in the financial and banking industry, there's what they call the authentication decay, right? Like, so
yes,
by the moment you logged in, let's say you are the safest, right? Like, so,
yeah,
but as the time passed by, right, like your authentication assurance and level drops
yes,
significantly, because that's where the session takeover can happen,
yes,
etc.
yeah,
And that's why, as I said, we strongly believe that network APIs have this power and a very seamless way of doing this, constant authentication in the background without interrupting the user experience. And that's why I think it's super
exactly.
important
Well, yeah,
for the financial industry, especially.
especially, yeah, because we do see it. I mean, there's an ongoing session. Those sessions, because of a whole range of nefarious activities, that session can be taken over by a crook. So whatever can happen to reaffirm, especially if there's any transaction that you're doing, because another key issue is for the brand, you want login to be fast and seamless. You don't want, I'm waiting, because that's one of the problems with all these gateways. They're adding additional latency in, and we may laugh. It's adding another like 400 milliseconds. Well, that's nothing. Well, add on top the 500 milliseconds here, and and then you do realize your competition just store these values. So actually, their response time is like sub 50 milliseconds. And because it's a competitive environment as well. It's not the only game in town on authentication, and some of those providers do stuff. I know there's, as you said, authentication delay, but if it meets the customer's requirements of just getting customers on, and then once they want to do additional transactions, well, guess what? If I want to transfer money in or out, I expect it to take time. I'm happy that you're doing the double checks to ensure that my money isn't disappearing into a black hole. So customers, acceptance of some of these delays depending on the transaction, with explanation. I mean, it's all around customer communication, but that additional thing to say, we're just checking, okay? Because this is important to you and to us. We're making sure this is real. So, I think that continuous authentication I'm seeing in my customer experiences popping up more and more. So definitely, I think that's a key point. So maybe
Just one interesting comment to
no,
actually how
please,
important the speed of authentication and UX these days is. Like um, I just heard it over the weekend on one of the seminars we've done, and they've mentioned Amazon as a use case, right? Like, so where for every 1 second delay of the Amazon page rendering for the user, Amazon is having 1 second delay. It's like 67% drop in the sales. So that's why Amazon is doing as much as they can to kind of using AI and some predictions to kind of preload the next 12 to 13 pages on their website. Just because, as I said, waiting for 1 second, it just affects the bottom line, greatly.
No.
So that's, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's the same for authentication. If I wait for an SMS like for 3-4 seconds, I'm gone. These days. So yeah, I mean, like that.
But that still happens. It's like when you're using something as old school as an SMS OTP, and it's like, has it failed? Because you know how it is. You go through. Did I click on it? Because sometimes it'll pop up, and then there's a button you have to press to send the SMS. I was like, oh, and then you press it, and then you get the SMS. But there's all these things as a customer that just delay, and it is as soon as you question it, it's like, did I press that now? And you go, yes, I did. Where the hell is it? And then it's like, so what am I expected to do? Just wait round here? You just cancel.
What I'm telling to a lot of app developers, just go to Google Play, Apple Store reviews, pick 1-star rating. You will see 90% of 1-star rating is due to SMS never delivered.
Yes,
and that's the kind of the first experience you have with the user, and that's why it's super important to get it right.
Exactly, 100%. So moving on from sort of the continuous authentication, do you just target customers that aren't using some of the other methods, whether it's, sort of passkeys or sort of timed OTP or stuff like that? So it's like self-selecting, or do you try to sit as part of a portfolio of solutions for your customers?
So in our experience, I mean, like, there's no one solution fits all, right? Like, so what we are seeing is that, or how we envision the near-term future is that APIs will be used as an initial point of authentication, just to make sure they got the right user in the first time.
Gotcha.
And then on a subsequent login sessions, I think the passkeys will get adopted, right? Like, so it's user friendly, etc. So what I see as a challenge, and I've been part of the FIDO conferences, etc. And we are in discussion recently as well with Google and the guys. So the challenge with passkeys is that there's also a regulatory element to it, because in order for passkeys to become available with cross devices, I mean, to switch it, for account recovery, they've lost one super important element, and that's a possession factor verification.
Correct.
So passkeys are not recognized in many countries now by the regulation as a possession factor, which is super important to have, right? Like, especially in many markets due to PSD2 and so on and so forth. So that's why I think most of the enterprises in the future will use kind of both solutions and methods as part of the whole identity stack.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, because I use passkey across both my mobile device and my laptop device. So yeah, I mean, I'm old school. You can tell by the gray hair.
Yeah,
So I have a bias to using my laptop because you can see stuff. It's like the real estate on a mobile phone just annoys the hell out of me. It's like when you're looking at a
yeah,
table and it's like, oh, okay, let's reorient so I can scroll through to find the information I need. It's like, okay, let's just go back to the laptop because it makes it easy. So
yeah.
moving on, how do you, what are your popular enterprise verticals? So, who are your, most common customers and where you trying to grow your customer base?
Yeah, so for us, I mean, like, and everybody's saying, I mean, like, it's a no-brainer for financial industry and
Yeah,
fintech in general, right?
yeah,
Like, so these guys are super sensitive about frauds,
yeah,
and that's where we have a big portfolio of our clients,
yeah,
especially in the banking space.
yeah.
But what is interesting, where we've made a lot of progress. I think, yeah, globally, we are the company with the highest adoption for some of the segments like e-commerce space or social networks as well. So these guys are come with the huge volumes,
Yes,
and as I said, in many parts of the world, phone number is basically the only way for those guys to access the services.
yeah,
So that's why proper authentication is super important there. So
yeah.
I would say social networks, e-commerce, m-commerce, websites, fintechs, and then we have those marketplaces like ride-hailing, food delivery
Yeah,
companies that are yeah, popping on board as well.
good job. And across regions, do you see like regional hotspots, or is it sort of a general shift, as it becomes more and more mature?
Uh, I think it's happening everywhere. But
Okay.
what we are seeing, where we are seeing the biggest adoption is highly connected to, I would say, high costs in the SMS pricing. So in the regions, in the markets where the SMS pricing went crazy, right? Like,
Yes.
so
Latin America.
20,
Yeah.
Latin America, Southeast Asia,
Yeah.
Africa, Southeastern Europe, where the prices are going skyrocket, 20 cents, 30 cents, like, so I'm just waiting
Yes.
when it's going to be a
I
dollar to
know
send an
it's
SMS, right?
absolutely crazy. It's like end of life pricing. It's almost like they don't want people to use SMS. It's crazy.
Exactly, which is really moving away enterprises. It's like telling enterprises, we don't want to work with you, kind of, which is not good from a telco perspective. What we are trying to reset, and I think network APIs have this a very good chance to try to reset the relationship with the enterprises to a fair value. Let's put it this way, right? Like, so where I think, as the enterprises were slowing down with the volumes due to increased pricing and the stuff, the telcos were, instead of thinking, hey, maybe we should change our approach or give
Yeah,
some more value, they said, okay, you drop the volumes, I'll increase the prices just to
exactly.
make it up.
Revenue remains
And
flat. Yeah.
that's correct. And it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy of killing the whole thing, right?
Well, it's because
So
it's a side business for most telcos. It's like you've got a relatively junior, product manager that's, trying to keep the revenues flat to meet their objectives for the year. So it's like, what can I do? That's an easy, thing to toggle. And what have other carriers done? Oh, they've raised pricing. Okay, if they can do it, we can do it, and it has an
exactly.
impact. We can see
I,
it.
I, I like I like this the saying from one very experienced person at one of the hyperscalers, saying, if the telcos don't disrupt the SMS within, others will disrupt it externally.
Well,
So
yeah,
so so it's better for telcos to disrupt it, so we can keep this business within the telco premises, right? And network API seems to be like a great solution for it.
yeah. It's just they need to look at it as a separate line of business, not an update to the existing SMS revenue. So they go, but it's
Sure.
cannibalizing our SMS piece.
Exactly.
We are pricing it needs to be, as you say, as it's tending towards a dollar. Oh, if you want to use a network API because it's so much more beautiful. And of course, for an enterprise, they don't care. They just need, a solution to a particular problem, which is on that initial authentication, ensuring it's Alan that's coming on board your service. So, it's not, I
100%.
mean, the pricing isn't transferable because, again, I think one of the points you raised earlier is it enables you to offer continuous authentication because, it's not, because with an SMS, everybody has a perception around it's an item. It's like this message, it has this cost. If you're using it multiple times, it costs more. While when it's something more as part of a solution, it's just a computer call. Let's face it, an SMS is. It's just, we have this crazy perception that, a few bytes of information can cost you tens of cents, which is, let's face it, a, a highly unique and favorable situation. Is just, again, telcos move slowly. So it's 2025 and we're still
Yeah.
charging for just a few bytes of information, which is shocking. So anyway,
Yeah.
I'm
Exactly.
rambling off. I apologize. So let's look now to the future. So where do you see this industry going? Because there's been, to an extent, a failure to launch. It's taken time. As I mentioned, at TADSummit, we were talking about this back in 2014, and we're now 2025. But solutions are rolling out. Now, I won't pretend, and I've been quite, so vocal on some of the challenges with the telco standards that have been. Well, we have a standard API, and of course, enterprises don't care. I just need an authentication solution that is integrated with my existing platform that delivers me basically, like the Amazon, that is fast, responsive, and doesn't cost me
Yeah.
sales. So just
Yeah.
interested in how you see this moving forward.
I think we have a very positive, kind of vision of the future when it
Yeah,
comes to otherwise we wouldn't be in this
exactly.
business. And
Yeah.
but staying long enough, right? Like, and especially the last 2-3 years, we have
Yeah.
seen a tremendous change, which I think has been pivotal for network API success, and
Yes.
that's the adoption of the big players, right? So this is something that was lacking, if we look at the mobile connect times, right? Like,
Yeah.
aside from all the complexity, inconsistent user experience, different solutions, etc.
Yeah.
But what was lacking before, it was the adoption,
Yeah.
right? Like, so if you don't have the enterprises to adopt it, then everything else, it's just a story, and at some
Yes.
point it's going to fall apart. And that's what happened with Mobile Connect. What we are seeing with this, I would say, new hype, with the open gateways and camera initiatives, and this is something that what we are seeing, it actually happened a bit before, which is combined with the whole, fraud
Yeah.
bursting out in the AI world and the SMS not being able to cover all the holes and the stuff.
Correct.
But there is a big adoption that is happening, especially by some of the large players, and I think it has a very important snowball effect. That once you have these big guys, it slowly translate to mid-sized enterprises in different sectors, as I said, in banking, social
Yeah.
networks, e-commerce, and then from there it's a game on. So what
Okay.
we are hoping for, also, that some of the big guys. I mean, we need to have some of the big guys in the CPaaS space, in the cloud provisioning space, like the likes of Amazon, Google's, Microsoft
Yes.
of the world, to try to capture the long tail part of the markets, right? Like, so eventually developers, even those small ones, are the ones that are driving the big change, right? Like,
Yes.
so the big hyperscaler guys are there to set off an example,
Yeah.
but then we need the long tail guys to think about network APIs as something, as a standard, right? Like, I'm building an app I want to have a super sleek user experience,
Yeah.
and that's what I can do in a couple of clicks. Through my cloud provider, I can enable number verification that really solves all my issue. And what we are hoping to see that this type of authentication is not just another fraud prevention mechanism, etc., but like make it in a way that also becomes a great tool for user acquisition at that very beginning, right? Like and I think that's where the industry is going, and we are very, very excited about what's coming.
Yeah. So again, just to paraphrase, so it's the change that you've seen is the increase in adoption. Now, that has a structure. And as you say, Microsoft, Amazon, Google have an important role in this. And I've always, from the outside looking in, sort of felt, I wasn't sure, and I'm still not sure that the network APIs are necessarily, I mean, no, don't get me wrong, Google, basically, Microsoft are definitely pals with the carriers and will do what the carriers ask publicly. But this isn't necessarily sort of an alignment around business models. I'm looking, can passkey or, sort of some of the other web standards, because you've got distributed, identity. So there's a whole host of things I'm seeing in the web world that mean we could see pop out from some of these sort of large cloud providers, stuff that's well within their purview that isn't $1 per transaction, but is, it's maybe $1 per million transactions. So I'm just, how do you see, how can the telecom industry lock in, basically ensure that they, hand in hand with the big aggregators, deliver these solutions, this whole life cycle piece, using the network capabilities, given the variety of devices? Because again, we're talking on my laptop. There's no, mobile network involved. I mean, I've got my mobile on my desk, but that, it is separate. So just, again, trying to get a feel for, is this a game where, because I think you're right, we're seeing, adoption moving in the right direction. There are standards there with the issues they've got. I'm seeing, Microsoft, Google, Amazon moving aggressively so that they can play both sides. They can play the web game, they can play the carrier game in the markets where it makes sense. But for the long term, I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying, how do you, because this is your life, this is what you're basically riding on. What is it that basically keeps you feeling confident that the telecom networks will still have a role, given, the issues we see and the history we've seen from Microsoft, Google, Amazon, etc.?
It's a fair point, right? Like so it's not enough, and this is what we are also trying to translate the message to both hyperscalers and I think our role, I mean, or in general, the aggregators or channel partners' role, although we sit both on the closer to the operator side of things as well on the vendors under the vendors hat, but like they need to step up their game. It's not just enough to say, hey, I have an APIs listed on my cloud page and just go there and use it and so on and so forth.
And it's a standard.
It is a standard, and which no one cares about, right? Like, so the thing you've mentioned also in important commercial models, right? Like so I think that's been one of the major stepping stones for adopting even SMS through cloud providers, right? Like in general, if you wanted to buy an SMS from Amazon or Microsoft, you had to pay 10 cents or whatever when the SMS was 2 cents or 3 cents. So that's why no one was using it there. But I think with APIs, there's a chance to change the business model, and this is something that it takes a bit of time. But I can tell you, we do have a great experiences in many markets where we are able to charge the enterprise per user, per month or per year, and that's in our opinion that would be the best business model out there for both small and big size guys, right? Because they are only paying for the amount of users they have, right? And so if I have 100 users or if I have 100 million users, I mean, I'll pay differently, but that's where my revenues are going to stack up. And it helps to remove that friction from pumping, from having more and more, unnecessary transactions. Look, I have one user. If the user wants to be authenticated, or if I feel that I need to authenticate him 100 times, I'm going to be able to do that and just pay a price we've agreed on. So that's what I think it's what is probably a missing piece, but more and more operators do recognize this opportunity, and I'm happy to say that this is also.
So where do you see that shift happening? Because I mean, for example, in Sri Lanka, IdeaMart was very successful in getting innovation, on its network APIs. It's one of the few. I mean, there are a couple of other markets. And I always have pointed to, look at these guys, look at what IdeaMart's and look at the success they've created. And everybody goes, oh yeah, it's an emerging market, not relevant to us. We're a big, expensive market and we like big, expensive prices. Where are the early adopters of this flat rate? Come in and use it where it's appropriate, because a business isn't going to wastefully use it. They're going to use it where it has a customer impact. So for them, they're resource limited like everybody else is, and they're only going to use it where appropriate. But once it's flat rate, it gets used in so many ways that in the limit, it's all about delivering the best experience possible.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like,
but where's the early adopters? Where are you seeing the glimmers of where this market is shifting?
So for us, I would say Southeast Asia in general.
Okay,
that's where we see the ecosystem really starting to flourish when it comes to network APIs. So we are already past the point of whether this is going to work, whether it provides a value, etc. So as I said, in the markets like Indonesia, Cambodia, Vietnam, Thailand, things are already picking up at a very high pace. And as I said, having leading social networks, top 12, 13, 14 banks in each of the market adopting the solution, that's where you can see actually a big change. And that's to our earlier point, is tightly connected to that very new business model that helped to onboard some of the guys who were a bit suspicious at the beginning, etc. But once we give them, hey, just pay us, I don't know, whatever, 2-3 times of whatever SMS you pay for user to authenticate unlimited amount of time. That's what get them, into the mood of let's go for it, let's try it, and now they are happy customers for the last 1 to 3 years.
Excellent, because in the limit, it's like you've got your database, you already populated it. They did a request 30 seconds ago and they want to do another, no problem. It's the same data. Nothing's updated. So it's not really costing you anything to deliver something, which in that situation where it's just a quick database lookup, you're basically 10, 20, 30 milliseconds. So you can deliver a very fast, efficient delivery of those, that information. Cool.
Yeah, exactly. And to your point, they were using SMS only for the kind of registration.
Yes.
And now what we are seeing, there's authentication on the registration. There's an authentication of adding new beneficiary. Yep. There's an authentication when I want to do a transactions above $5, $10, etc. So that's where I think the APIs can excel at, and together with them, both telcos and the companies like IPification.
Exactly. Well, authentication solutions with continuous authentication solutions. Full stop. Because it's wrapping up
Yeah.
the sort of business model behind that. So it's per month, per year, however you want to structure it, but it just gives that permanent, fast solution that enables businesses to deliver that experience that customers want. As you said, back to the Amazon data point, 1 second, it has a 67% impact on sales.
Exactly.
It's frightening.
Yeah. I'm hoping to have kind of similar data analytics 1 second in authentication duration, how many users drop out you have.
Exactly.
That would be kind of like a super important metrics. I mean, we are still not the size of Amazon to start measuring these these kind of details, but soon enough. Soon enough.
No, absolutely. That's great. Well, Stefan, this has been great. I mean, thank you for sharing. I've learned a lot. I understand, where you're seeing the market going, and the glimmers of hope that you're seeing from Southeast Asia that give you confidence that this is something that can have a significant impact. So again, congratulations and best of luck.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Alan. Great. It was great to be here, and looking forward to catch up again.